Hi there, I'm Kathy Kartak. I'm a demonstrator from Ellicott City, Maryland. I've been a demonstrator for 15 years and I have a small team, two very wonderful members, and I do quarterly events to keep up with my minimums. I do Christmas card stamp-a-stack at the end of the year, two celebration events, and usually a stamp-a-stack in the middle of the year. I'm really pleased to be here to join you on our new catalog day live via video as I'm traveling from Arkansas, bringing my son home from college. And I'd like to show you some great products and some great projects that I hope you will enjoy. Well, okay, let's get started. I am thrilled to show you the Sun Prints suite of products that are found on pages 90 and 91 of the new annual catalog. This suite caught my eye right away because I love nature images and the navy and white DSP is just awesome. As you can see, the suite comes with the Nature Prints stamp set, the coordinating natural prints dies, and here's what they look like all cut out. You get duplicates of this vine stamp. You get duplicates of this one and then the mirror image, so you can cut a whole bunch at once. It also comes with the Fern 3D embossing folder, and it embosses so nicely, and this white is just magnificent with the DSP. And speaking of the DSP, let's take a look at that. I love these prints. They do really look like sun prints that you might have made when you were a kid. The colors are Night of Navy, Gray Granite, Pacific Point, Starry Sky, and Basic White. And they're very versatile. They just make some beautiful creations. Hopefully you'll agree with me when you see my projects. Here you can see some of the pops of the Pacific Point, and who doesn't love a stripe? Here's another theme on the Fern Sun Prints. It's just a little bit different. It's got a little bit more of texturing and the colors behind the ferns, and another Gray Granite. And then this one might be my favorite piece, and you might see that one just a bit later. And then on the back side it has a beautiful starry cloudy sky, and I just really love this set of DSP. Now if you don't like blue and white, well, first of all, I don't know about you, but did you know that back here on page 133 in the DSP is the Pretty Prints DSP, and it comes in a variety of colors, and it's the same patterns as in the Sun Prints DSP. So the colors in here are, let's see if I get them all, Bermuda Bay, Blackberry Bliss, Calypso Coral, Coastal Cabana, Evening Evergreen, Gorgeous Grape, Petal Pink, Rich Razzleberry, Shaded Spruce, Soft Seafoam, Soft Succulent, and Sweet Sorbet. Phew, that is a lot of colors. And there's got to be a color or a color combination in this pack that you will really love. If you don't like the blue and white, look at these yummy, yummy colors. You can see I've already used some of these for some of my projects, which you will be seeing shortly. Let's go. I've got a few more. I've got the green set now. And here we go with this beautiful green. I think the green is my favorite out of this pack. And again, it's the same designs that are in the Sun Prints, but just in this variety of colors. And I think you might have missed them because I certainly did when I first looked through the catalog. Okay, let me show you some of my projects. First up, I have a set of cards for the beginner, casual, and avid stamper. I stayed away from the navy and white theme for now because I wanted to show how versatile this suite is. For the beginning stamper, I have a SIP card. That's just stamp, ink, and paper. And I stamped the images in Blushing Bride ink and Parakeet Party. For the casual stamper, I added die cuts and embellishments. I cut the glimmered organdy ribbon in half lengthwise because I wanted a narrower ribbon, and I added some pastel pearls. Same color scheme, but with a little bit stepped up. And for the Avid stamper, I added a basic white panel that I embossed with the Fern 3D folder, and then I used a blender brush to sponge on some Blushing Bride ink in the background. And then I added the die cuts and the pearls and another thin piece of the organdy ribbon. But do you see these pink embellishments here? Well, they're made with the brushstroke specialty paper, which I bet you also missed in the back because I know I did. It is on page 139, and it comes in 3 luscious colors. Let me show you this beautiful paper. It comes in Night of Navy, Blushing Bride, and Soft Succulent. See how shiny it is, but also see those beautiful brush strokes in the paper. I think it is just awesome, and it goes so nicely with this suite. And speaking of the brush stroke paper, I used it on this next card where I embossed the ferns in white. I also have the dry embossed 3D embossing folder back here, and then I have the brush stroke paper. And isn't that just beautiful? I love the way that it shimmers like that. See how it catches the light? All right, so for my next project, I promised you that you were going to see this piece of DSP again. And let me remind you that this is the way it started out. So I took this piece of DSP and I cut it into, let's see what I have here. I cut it into 4 by 5 1/4 pieces so that I had 6 pieces, and then I had some little scraps at the end. So what I did was I also cut that down after I trimmed it to the DSP to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, and I mounted those pieces onto a 4 by 5 1/4 basic white mat, and then onto a Night of Navy card base. So for these first 2 cards, oops, that's not the right one. For these first 2 cards, I stamped the sentiment in Versamark and then heat embossed them with white embossing powder. And I think that looks great. It really just pops off the card like that. I did the same thing with this card, but you can see that I also sprinkled, I kind of dusted my embossing powder around, and I set it like that so that it would have, you know, a little starry ephemeral look in the sky. For the next 2 cards, I did the same pattern, and I stamped the sentiments and cut them out with the label that comes with this set. I stamped the sentiments in Night of Navy, and then I embossed them in clear embossing powder because I really like my sentiments to pop. And these cards, the paper is just stunning. And then with the scraps that I had left over, I had some 1.5 by 4 inch strips, and I cut them diagonally, and I put them onto the card like this. It's just a simple card. It just has 2 different colors of stripes because this was the piece that is pretty solid. And I stamped the sentiment on a basic white piece, and I cut it out with another new set of dies called the Stylish Shapes dies. And you'll see these a little bit later in my presentation as well. I also wanted to use our new Starry Sky color in color, so I made this card. You'll see I cut out the wreath die, but I only used half of it. Again, the Fern 3D embossing folder and some striped DSP back there. And then for this card, I used the other half of the wreath, and I put a little corner of DSP up there, and I added some of the Starry Sky glimmered metallic woven ribbon to the card. I think these colors are just really pretty. And then I have one more card in this theme, and I think this would make a beautiful wedding card. So this card, I stamped the flowers in fresh freesia and cut them out with the matching die, and the greenery is stamped in evening evergreen. Then I used clear Wink of Stella on the flowers to give them a little shimmer, and I used vellum for the branches, and I embossed the sentiment in gold and added some opal rounds to this. These next two cards use a technique that I am calling alcohol dipping, and I used that technique on the wreaths, and you can see this wreath has different colors of pinks and reds, and I also used blends to color some of the ribbon. And this one I also used a variety of blends in the dipping technique, which I'll show you in a sec, to make this wreath. This is and I also colored the opal rounds with my Stampin' Blends, and I think they turned out awesome. I was very pleased with how they turned out. So what you do is you start with your die cut, any die cut you want, and then I used my Stampin' Blend. So I'm going to start here with dark shaded spruce, and I'm just going to scribble some color here on the silicone craft mat. And then in your spritzer you should have 91% alcohol. Now when I learned this technique, I heard it has to be 91%, and it's really easy to find at Walmart and Target. It doesn't cost any more than the regular, I think it's about 85% alcohol. So what you want to do, I always spritz it in my face, so I have to double check it a million times. What you want to do is after you've laid down your color, is you're going to spritz the color, and you're going to get a little puddle of color, and then you're going to wait for the color to kind of float. I don't know if you can see the color floating. And then you're going to dip your image or whatever you want into the floating ink and pick it up. And there'll be different shades of this, of course, because you have different strengths as the ink gets saturated. I have here light Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to scribble it on here. I'm going to spray it with my alcohol, not in my face, please. I'm going to wait for it to float. And then I'm going to find some places where I have the white, and I'm going to dip that into the alcohol and pick up some different green. Let's go down here for this one. And then finally, I'm going to use Parakeet Party. It is dark Parakeet Party. Again, just scribble it on your mat. Spritz it with some 91% alcohol. Wait for it to float. It doesn't take very long for it to float. Oops, sorry. And then you're going to dip your die cut into the ink where it's white. You want to leave some of it white. You want some of the color to overlap. You want some of the color to be more saturated and some of it to be less saturated. So here you go. So you get a different look every time you do this. But isn't that gorgeous? And then you just let it dry. You know, alcohol dries quickly, but if you are impatient like I am, then you can use your heat tool to go ahead and set it. And again, let me bring the cards back in to show you that technique on a card. And these both use the, what are these called? The Pretty Prints DSP in the different colors than the blue. So you can see the wreaths and that technique used here. Now I wanted to tell you another little secret. Let me move my cards. Oops, I just put them in the ink. So when you cut this die cut out, you're going to get a piece like this that's extra. Now I hate to waste paper, so I thought, I can still get a little something out of this. And the Stylish Shape dies, the two smallest circle dies, fit right in the center of that. So you could make some sentiment pieces and not waste very much paper. And since I had a whole bunch of wreaths that I had cut to make my cards and for this display, I made a whole bunch of circles. So these circles, first I embossed with the 3D Fern embossing folder, then I cut out the wreaths, and then when I had the extra pieces, I used the 3 smallest circles from the Stylish dies. I used my blending brush to brush on Rich Razzleberry, Flirty Flamingo, and, Sweet Sorbet. I colored the black and white gingham ribbon with a Blackberry Bliss marker, and then I added some pearls and a sentiment. And I think that's a great way to use up your scraps in a really fun card. I made a couple of 3D projects as well. This is a post-it holder. I stamped directly onto some basic white and cut it out with one of the Stylish Shapes circles. I also used Stylish Shapes for this Blushing Bride piece. I stamped in Blushing Bride, Parakeet Party, and I stamped Sweet Sorbet on top of Sweet Sorbet and Blushing Bride. You can do whatever you want, and I added some extras because when I was cutting, I just cut a whole bunch of them, so I have a pile of them on my desk. And then this opens up with a little magnet inside, and there's your Post-it note. And of course you have to decorate the back because you don't want that to be naked. Here are the instructions, and I will post pictures of it, but your mileage is going to vary because you may not have a 3 by 1/4 inch Post-it, so you would have to figure out your measurements from that. But I scored it 1.5, 1 3/4, 4 3/4, and 5. The cardstock is 8 by 3 1/4, and then I also had an extra piece of cardstock here for the band for the pencil if you wanted to put that on there, and that's 2 by 4 inches. And then here's how you cut the DSP. But again, I'll take pictures of this and post it. For my last project, I made a nice box using the gray granite Sun Prints paper and the die cuts, and also the gray granite ribbon that carried over, which I'm so grateful for because it's just beautiful ribbon. I will post the instructions on the website, but here's my little pro tip. I always use a piece of the DSP backing when I make my patterns. That way it's a little bit more sturdy than just a regular piece of paper. And then I store them in my drawer in case I want to make a box. So I say, well, how did I make that box? Well, let me look in my pattern drawer. So this one starts with an 11 by 5.5 inch piece of cardstock. And here's, I've got all the score and bevel and cut lines for you. And then you'll see that posted on the website so that you can refer back to it. I've already started this one, so let me find my glue, and I'm going to put on the DSP pieces where I've marked where they go. Now, glue is not my favorite sticky medium, so I hope I'm doing it right. But I do like the fact that it gets to slide around and you can place your pieces right exactly where you need them. So I just glue these 2 strips, and these will be on the outside of the box, obviously, when you close up the box. Am I out of shot? Let me move up here. Now, I don't know about you, but yes, I do like the idea of glue, that it does give you a little forgiveness, just like that, just like I showed you. But when it gets stuck to my fingers, it gets stuck to my fingers. I think it's because my skin is so dry, so I really try not to get my fingers in it. I can't wash it off. I can't wait for it to dry and then roll it off. It's just, it becomes one with me. So there we go. It's one more DSP piece. After this, put this one here on this end. And again, I'll have the instructions on in our Facebook group so that you can see them. It's very easy and very quick to make. All right, and as you can see, I've already put the tear and tape on. So that's all ready to go. Let's see, I'll make the bottom first. Where's my take the pick tool? All right, I'm going to take off the tear and tape here, here. You don't have to put your DSP on first, but it's more sturdy when it's laying flat. You can wait until you assemble your box, but I liked it on before I assemble the box. And you're just going to fold these up and square them up. Can you see that? I think I'm in my own light here. And that'll be the bottom of the box. And then I'll take this off again. You can take your pick tool. If I had fingernails, I might be able to peel it up. But I don't have fingernails anymore because I had to take them off for my knee surgery. And I'm letting them grow back naturally for a little bit. put the gel and dip on them. Alrighty, so there we go, got that off. And again, let me see if I can work this way without being in the light. And fold these two inside to make your box bottom. Yeah, come on, little boxy. You can do it. There we go. And then I had some shred to put inside. And of course, chocolate. You can probably cram some more chocolate in here, but I have 4 Ghirardelli squares. And I actually bought blue ones because I wanted them to go with the blue paper, and then I decided to use the gray paper. But, you know, that's okay. Chocolate's chocolate. You can put them in this way, and you can probably get 6 in, but I thought that was a little bit too tight. Oh, and the other thing is, if you still have your 1/2-inch circle punch, or here we go, your 1/2-inch circle punch, then you can put a little notch to open the box. Here we go. With that. Isn't that cute? And then you just fold these flaps in and the notch flap. You know what? I did it the wrong end. I always do the wrong end. Well, let's do this end and put the notch on it. Here. So now we have 2 notches. It's nacho problem. There we go, and that's how the box folds up. And then I'll spare you from me tying the ribbon on, but I used 3 feet, yes, an entire yard, to wrap around the box and tie it in a nice bow. And then what I did was I already stuck the embellishments, the die cut embellishments on the back of the label. Oh, this is also embossed in silver. And then I put them right on top. And then again, I added some iridescent rhinestones. So those are my projects. I hope you enjoyed them, and I hope you enjoy your day. And if you have any questions, just message me. And when I am on the internet again, right now I should be traveling through Kentucky on my way back from Arkansas. So as soon as I'm on the internet again, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you out. Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching.